will pull you into one of the most dramatic rides ever seen in the world of no-prep drag racing. The rise of a champion, the fall of a relationship, the unspoken drama behind the scenes. Do you believe that someone can stand at the peak of their sport and still lose everything that matters? That question lies at the heart of what happened between Lizzy Musi and Kye Kelley. But first, buckle up because this story starts fast. Welcome to Street Outlaws Secrets, the channel where we uncover the behind-the-scenes truths of your favorite stars. If you're passionate about street racing, reality TV, and the hidden drama that drives the headlines, make sure to hit like and subscribe now so you don't miss an episode. Lizzy Musi grew up immersed in the roar of engines and the smell of racing fuel. Her father, Pat Musi, was a legend in the drag racing world, a champion engine builder, a man who built his daughter's future on raw horsepower and ambition. From the moment she hopped into a race car, Lizzy was not just playing the part, she was rewriting the playbook. She became one of the few women in the no-prep and door slammer world to break barriers and shatter expectations. On the other side, Kye Kelley, a name you'll recognize in the racing circuit, brought his own ambition and larger-than-life personality to the track. The two were linked not only by competition, but by a personal relationship that became public, part of the storyline. Their engagement was announced. Their future together seemed set. And for years, this power couple in the world of high-stakes, high-speed racing seemed unstoppable. But life on the track doesn't always match what the cameras want you to believe. Behind the jump starts and podium finishes, drifted tensions, shifting priorities, and private battles. While Lizzy was pushing for wins and carving out her place as a trailblazer, Kye's racing world demanded time, focus, a full commitment. What happens when the love of your life is also your competitor, your teammate, and your rival? When your dreams collide with the engine's roar and the reality of public expectation, we begin to see cracks. While the two celebrated wins, behind the scenes, Lizzy would later say that Kye was not there during the hardest time of her life. According to posts Lizzy made, she revealed that during her health battles, Kye attended just one of her doctor appointments and supported the racing program more than her. She wrote that feeling alone on top of being sick was the worst feeling ever. Did Kye really abandon her when she needed him most? Or was the pressure of racing, filming, sponsorships, and live events simply too great to bear for both of them? Some say Kye's focus was fully on his racing operation, not just the driving, but the business behind the car. Meanwhile, Lizzy's world changed when she publicly announced in April 2023 that she had been diagnosed with triple-negative stage 4 breast cancer, which had already spread to lymph nodes in her liver. Pause for a moment. Think about that for a second. A champion driver, filming a popular reality series, under the lights and in the spotlight. And then the lights go out, the cameras stop, and you confront the most brutal opponent of all, your own mortality. Relationships don't pause for chemo. They don't stop for surgery. They don't wait while you heal. And the same battleground she dominated on the track became a different kind of fight entirely. Yet during this time, the racing world didn't freeze. Kye and Lizzy, both under public gaze, had to navigate the show, the team, the sponsorship, the interpersonal drama. According to reports, the relationship broke up in mid-2023 because both agreed it was too toxic. Lizzy claimed Kye refused to try and fix things, instead saying he just wanted to be friends. She posted, "Due to Kye not being there during the toughest time of my life, I broke up with him." And he reportedly responded, "I agree with your decision." Lizzy later wrote that Kye told her he was tired of being treated poorly by her over the years, and that prevented him from wanting to fix things. So you see the two parallel tracks. One, Lizzy fighting cancer and expectations in history. The other, Kye fighting to keep his racing program alive and balancing public perception. The intersection of romance, reality TV, and real-life crisis created a collision course. By late 2023, the relationship was over. The engagement never yielded a wedding. The shared dreams of together on the podium faded, replaced by separate journeys. Many fans saw the split and wondered, was it the stress of the sport? Was it the illness? Was it the fame? Or something more fundamental? And it gets deeper. Because Lizzy's passing on June 27, 2024, at age 33, shocked the racing community and the show's viewers. Surrounding her death with family at home, her father posted, "Surrounded by her family in the comfort of her own home, Lizzy was called to heaven at 11:25 p.m. tonight. Now here's the question that haunts many of the fans of Street Outlaws. What happens to a relationship built to you? In the fast lane when one partner is sidelined by fate? Did Kye abandon her when she needed him the most? Or did the relationship simply run out of drag? Some voices in the fan community say he stayed close. Others say he didn't measure up. The truth? It's messy. What we know for sure, Lizzy made history. She was the first woman to win a pro nitrous national event in the PDRA's inaugural season and became the first female driver to win an NPK event on Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. Her legacy is one of breaking barriers, not just for women in motorsport, but for any underdog who steps up to the start line. And Kye? He continues on the track, but the spotlight of his personal story will forever be colored by how this chapter ends. What does it mean for him and for the sport when one of its brightest stars is gone forever? When news of Lizzy Musi's illness first broke, the entire Street Outlaws community was shaken. Fans who had watched her for years couldn't believe that someone so young, fierce, and full of life was suddenly facing something so devastating. In April 2023, Lizzy shared publicly that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 triple-negative breast cancer. Those words hit like a thunderclap across the drag racing world. She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't hide behind the cameras. She came out strong, speaking directly to her fans and saying she was ready to fight. That raw honesty, that courage, instantly earned her respect beyond racing. People began following her journey not as a racer, but as a fighter. At first, Lizzy tried to keep life moving as normal. She continued attending events, working with her father, and even appearing in Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. Her smile never faded, but behind it was exhaustion, pain, and uncertainty. She documented her chemotherapy journey online, sometimes showing her shaved head, sometimes her tired eyes, but always her fighting spirit. You could feel that she wanted to be seen not as a victim, but as a warrior. Meanwhile, the rumors surrounding her and Kye Kelley started to grow louder. Fans noticed they were no longer appearing together in posts. The once vibrant couple, always photographed side by side at tracks, now seemed to be living separate lives. Some believed it was just the stress of illness and work pulling them apart. Others suspected deeper cracks. Lizzy later confirmed it herself. Their relationship had ended. She said Kye was not there when she needed him most, that he had chosen racing over her, and that she felt completely alone. For Kye, who had built his image around strength, competitiveness, and control, this was a difficult narrative to face. He didn't publicly attack or defend himself. He kept silent for a long time, focusing on his racing team. But silence in the world of reality TV often speaks louder than words. Fans started taking sides, some blaming him for walking away from a woman fighting for her life. Others saying no one outside really knew what had happened behind closed doors. Still, it was clear the breakup hit Lizzy deeply. In one of her later posts, she mentioned that she never expected to go through such a battle alone. That when life gets hard, you really learn who stands by your side. Her tone wasn't bitter. It was hurt, tired, but still determined. That quiet strength became her new trademark. While she underwent chemotherapy, she didn't stop dreaming. Lizzy talked about wanting to drive again, to get back behind the wheel when she was stronger. Her father, Pat Musi, became her rock. He accompanied her to appointments, helped her manage treatments, and kept fans updated about her condition. The bond between father and daughter grew even stronger during those months. In every photo, Pat's eyes said it all: pride, fear, and unconditional love. But even as she fought bravely, the disease was relentless. The treatments took their toll. There were days she felt hopeful, days she could barely stand. Yet every time fans expected her to disappear, she came back online with another message of encouragement for others battling cancer. "If I can get through this, you can too," she said in one of her posts. Those words turned her into an inspiration far beyond the racing world. At the same time, the producers of Street Outlaws No Prep Kings faced an emotional dilemma. Lizzy wasn't just another driver, she was part of the show's heart. Her story had inspired young women to believe they could compete in a male-dominated arena. As her condition worsened, the crew, castmates, and fans sent out endless messages of support. Kye Kelley himself, though distant publicly, was said to be deeply affected. Some crew members shared that he often spoke about Lizzy off camera, expressing regret and sadness. Whether or not they ever found closure, one thing was certain. He had lost someone irreplaceable in his life. As 2024 arrived, Lizzy's updates became less frequent. Her voice grew softer, her videos shorter. By June, whispers began circulating online that her condition had deteriorated. Fans feared the worst but hoped for a miracle. And then on June 27, 2024, Kye Musi posted the message no one was ready to read. Lizzy had passed away peacefully at home, surrounded by her family. She was only 33 years old. That night, the racing world stood still. The following days were filled with tributes from racers, fans, and TV personalities. Every post shared the same theme: strength, courage, and light. Even those who never met her felt the loss deeply. Kye Kelley released a short, emotional message. Lizzy was one of a kind. She made me better on and off the track. I'll always be thankful for the time we had. It was a simple message, but it carried the weight of years, love, heartbreak, and the kind of silence only loss can bring. Fans flooded his social media with thousands of comments, some forgiving, some angry, but most expressing sorrow for both of them. At her funeral, the racing community gathered to say goodbye. Drivers lined up their cars as a final tribute, engines rumbling softly like a heartbeat fading into the distance. There were tears, but also pride, because Lizzy had lived life at full throttle until the very end. And even though her story ended too soon, her legacy roared louder than ever. She wasn't just a racer anymore. She became a symbol of strength for women, for fighters, for anyone who has ever faced something that seemed impossible. In the end, the love story between Kye and Lizzy may not have had a happy ending, but it was real, intense, and unforgettable. It was the story of two souls racing toward the same dream, only to find that sometimes life throws a curve too sharp to survive together. Street Outlaws fans still ask the same question: if fate had been kinder, would they have found their way back to each other? Maybe. Or maybe their story was always meant to be a reminder that even in the fast lane, love is fragile, and time waits for no one. After Lizzy Musi's passing, a heavy silence fell over the Street Outlaws world. The drag strips that once echoed with her thunderous engine now felt quieter, as if the air itself was mourning. Fans poured their grief onto social media, posting thousands of comments, photos, and videos celebrating her life. Her name began trending across the motorsports community, not just for her victories, but for the strength and dignity she showed in her fight. Kye Musi, her father, became the voice for everyone who loved her. In his heartfelt message, he wrote that Lizzy had fought with everything she had, and that her courage inspired the entire family. You could feel his pain through every word. He had been her coach, her mentor, and her biggest fan. Losing a daughter like Lizzy wasn't just losing family, it was losing a piece of his own identity. The Street Outlaws crew paid tribute in their own way. During the filming of No Prep Kings events that followed, racers placed decals on their cars bearing her name. At one race, engines fell silent for a moment of remembrance. Racers, crew members, and fans all stood together as Lizzy's photo appeared on the big screen. For a few seconds, everyone was united by loss and respect. Kye Kelley, though quiet at first, eventually opened up about the pain he felt. He shared a few posts that reflected deep remorse and sorrow. His words were brief but emotional. One message read, "It's hard to explain what you meant to me, what we went through, and how proud I am of the person you were." He didn't talk about their breakup, didn't defend himself, he just honored her memory. It was as if, in her death, the walls between them had finally faded away. In the weeks that followed, old videos of Lizzy began to resurface online. Clips of her first big win, her confident smile as she stepped out of the car, her laughter and behind-the-scenes footage, all of it flooded timelines. Fans shared them with captions like, "Gone too soon," and "Forever our queen of the track." Her courage inspired countless people battling illnesses. Many wrote that they had never watched a drag race in their lives but were moved to tears by Lizzy's story. But grief didn't stop the questions. People still wondered what happened in those final months between her and Kye. Was there closure? Did they ever speak again? Some insiders claim that Kye had reached out privately after her diagnosis worsened, offering support and checking on her through mutual friends. Whether that's true or not, the truth remains buried between two people who lived their love story in the public eye, but ended it behind closed doors. The No Prep Kings community didn't just mourn, They honored her legacy by continuing her mission. Several female racers dedicated their wins to her memory. One young driver said, "Because of Lizzy, I believe I can be out here too." That's what she left behind, a pathway for others to follow. Even the television producers faced an emotional decision: how to address her absence on screen. When new episodes aired, the show included a heartfelt montage celebrating her racing career, her interviews, her victories, and her smile that lit up the starting line. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't scripted, it was pure, simple respect. Kye Kelley's life after her passing took a quieter turn. Though he continued to race, fans noticed a change in him. His tone was softer in interviews, his expressions more thoughtful. Some said he looked haunted, as if a part of him was still on that starting line, waiting for someone who would never come back. Those who knew him personally said he carried a sense of guilt, but also a deep gratitude for having shared part of his life with someone like Lizzy. Meanwhile, Musi began dedicating more time to awareness campaigns for breast cancer, using Lizzy's story to inspire others. He spoke openly about early detection, regular checkups, and never ignoring warning signs. What started as tragedy slowly transformed into a message of hope. Lizzy's name became synonymous not only with speed and victory, but also with resilience and courage. In Mississippi and North Carolina, racing communities organized tribute races in her honor. Engines roared, pink ribbons waved in the air, and people wore shirts that read, "Drive like Lizzy." You could feel the energy she had left behind, her spirit still running, still chasing victory. But for many fans, one question lingered in the back of their minds. How did Kye truly feel now that she was gone? During one live stream a few months later, he was asked directly about Lizzy. He paused for a long time before saying quietly, "There are some people you never really say goodbye to. You just carry them with you." That single sentence said everything. Behind the fame, the show, the roaring engines. This was a story of two people who lived fast, loved deeply, and broke apart under the weight of a life that few could understand. Kye continues racing, but every time his car lines up, there's a shadow beside him. A memory of the woman who once stood next to him at the starting line, helmet in hand, fearless as ever. Lizzy Musi's story reminds us that even the strongest hearts can break, that even legends can fall, and that sometimes love is not about how long it lasts, but how deeply it's felt. Her journey ended far too soon, but her legacy, her fire, her defiance, her unbreakable will forever echo in the sound of engines across the nation. After Lizzy Musi's death, the spotlight slowly shifted toward Kye Kelley, not just as a racer, but as a man trying to rebuild after losing someone who had once shared every corner of his life. The cameras still followed him, the fans still cheered, but there was something different in the air. It wasn't just another season of Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. It was a new chapter shadowed by grief. At the start of the 2024-2025 season, Kye returned to the track with a heavy heart. The first time he walked toward his car, fans noticed his hesitation. The confident swagger that once defined him had been replaced by a quiet resolve. The pit crews fell silent as he got ready to race. Many knew that behind the helmet and the fire suit was a man carrying the weight of memories, of shared victories, old arguments, and a love that ended too soon. During that first event, a decal reading "Forever Lizzy" was placed on the hood of his car. When the green light flashed and Kye launched off the line, it wasn't just another race, it was a tribute. The crowd erupted in cheers, but for those who looked closely, his eyes behind the visor weren't filled with triumph. They were filled with emotion. Every pass down the strip seemed to carry a silent message. This one's for her. People around Kye said he had changed. The man who used to joke and talk loud in the pits now spoke softly and spent more time alone between runs. He stopped doing as many interviews, and when he did, he kept his words short. "Racing helps," he said in one interview. "It keeps me focused. It's what she would want." Those words revealed everything. The track had become his therapy, his escape, and his way of keeping her memory alive. The fan base, too, responded differently. Where once there had been mixed opinions about Kye's breakup with Lizzy, now there was understanding. People began to see him as human, flawed, and grieving. Social media turned from criticism to compassion. Comments filled his posts, messages like, "Stay strong, Kye, and she's watching over you." Even those who had once judged him softened, realizing that grief changes people in ways no one can predict. Behind the scenes, Kye was also dealing with new pressures. The Street Outlaws production team was careful not to exploit Lizzy's death for ratings, but her absence was impossible to ignore. The chemistry between drivers had shifted. Many had raced alongside Lizzy, laughed with her, and respected her talent. Now the track felt emptier. Kye, once known for his fierce rivalries, now raced with a new kind of focus. He wasn't chasing fame anymore. He was racing for purpose. In one emotional moment captured off camera, a crew member recalled Kye sitting alone beside his car after a run, staring at the empty seat where Lizzy used to wait with her helmet. "You could see it in his face," the crew member said. "He wasn't thinking about the win. He was thinking about her." That raw humanity made fans connect with him in a deeper way. The show's producers decided to highlight Lizzy's legacy in several segments, showing old footage of her racing, laughing, and joking with Kye. Each time those clips aired, viewers flooded social media with tears and memories. It was no longer just entertainment, it was a shared healing process for everyone who had followed their journey. Off the track, Kye began spending more time with family and his daughters, trying to find balance in a world that had lost some of its meaning. Friends say he rarely talks about Lizzy in detail, but her presence lingers in everything he does. Some even say he keeps a small pendant that belonged to her with him when he races, tucked inside his glove box. He doesn't mention it publicly, but people who know him believe it's true. Meanwhile, Pat Musi and the Musi racing team continued honoring Lizzy's legacy. They launched a memorial foundation aimed at supporting young female racers and raising awareness for breast cancer research. Kye quietly donated to it, never seeking attention for it. That silent gesture said more than any statement could. As 2025 approached, talk began to swirl about the future of Street Outlaws' No Prep Kings. Would the show continue in the same direction without one of its brightest stars? Fans speculated that Lizzy's absence had changed the tone forever. Yet in a way, her spirit still guided it. Every racer who fired up an engine felt her influence, her drive, her determination, her refusal to back down. And Kye, for all his struggles, slowly began to smile again. Not the old showman's smile, but a quieter, grateful one. When asked in an interview what keeps him going, he replied, "You live, you learn, you lose people, and somehow you find a way to keep moving." That's what Lizzy did, and that's what I'm trying to do. It wasn't a line for television, it was real, honest, broken, but strong. Over time, the racing community began to see Kye and Lizzy's story differently. It wasn't just a breakup or a tragedy, it was a reminder that even in a world built on speed, life can stop in an instant. That behind every racer's helmet is a heart that feels, breaks, and heals just like anyone else's. For Kye, every start line became both a farewell and a promise, a silent whisper to the woman who once shared the same dream, the same road, the same fire. The engines may drown out the noise, but deep down, he still races with her beside him. Time has passed since that heartbreaking night in June 2024, yet the memory of Lizzy Musi still burns bright in every corner of the drag racing world. Her story didn't fade. It transformed into something much bigger than a name on a leaderboard. Every race that follows now carries a part of her spirit. When engines roar and the tires burn down the strip, people still say, "That's Lizzy's sound." Her name became legend, not because she won the most races, but because she fought the hardest battles, both on the track and within herself. Today, the Street Outlaws community remembers her not with sorrow, but with pride. Fans arrive at races wearing pink ribbons, decals of her car, and shirts that say, "Drive like Lizzy." The message is simple: never give up, never slow down. It's hard to imagine the No Prep King circuit without her presence. The way she stood beside her father, the fierce look in her eyes before a run, the spark that made her one of the most respected drivers in the sport. Pat Musi continues her legacy with the same energy that once powered their garage. He often says, "Lizzy changed this sport forever." And he's right. She broke barriers for women in a world dominated by men. She proved that skill has no gender, that courage doesn't care about expectations, and that passion can outlast even tragedy. Young racers, especially women, often mention her name when they talk about who inspired them to start. For them, Lizzy Musi is more than a memory. She's a role model carved into history. As for Kye Kelley, life moved forward, but never in the same direction. He still races, still wins, still commands respect on the track, yet there's a quietness to him now. Those who stand beside him at events say there's a moment before every race when he closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and whispers something to himself. Some think he's focusing, others believe he's speaking to Lizzy. Maybe both. The rivalry that once fueled his drive has softened into reflection. He races differently now, calmer, wiser, with a sense of gratitude that only loss can teach. In interviews, when asked about Lizzy, Kye always answers with honesty. He says she made him better, that she taught him how to balance life and racing, and that she'll always be part of his story. His voice always trembles slightly when he says her name, and that tremor says more than 1,000 words. Fans who once debated their breakup now look at their story as something deeper. A love that was flawed but genuine, tested by fame, pressure, and fate itself. Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings, as a show also changed after Lizzy's death. The tone grew more heartfelt, more human. In one episode, racers shared stories about her off-camera, how she'd help anyone who needed advice, how she'd stay late to encourage new drivers, and how she'd never lose her humor, even when everything went wrong. The producers later aired a short tribute with her most iconic moments. Her first win, her smile under the lights, her voice saying, "I just want to go fast." That moment brought fans to tears across the world. It wasn't just a goodbye, it was a celebration of everything she stood for. And the fans, they never let her story die. Online communities formed around her memory. People share motivational posts with her photos, using her journey to inspire those fighting illness or chasing their dreams. Some even started charity events in her name, blending racing with fundraising for cancer awareness. Lizzy's legacy now reaches beyond cars and tracks. It touches lives in hospitals, classrooms, and homes of people she never even met. But the story of Lizzy and Kye is more than a tale of racing and tragedy. It's a human story. Two people brought together by speed, ambition, and love. They lived intensely, collided, broke apart, and yet remained connected by something that outlived both fame and heartbreak. In the end, Lizzy's passing didn't end their story. It immortalized it. Kye continues to drive, carrying her memory like a co-pilot beside him, invisible to the crowd but always there. There's an old saying in racing, you don't stop when you're tired, you stop when you're done. Lizzy Musi was never done. Her race continues in every person she inspired, in every woman who now dares to take the wheel, in every fan who whispers her name when the engines roar. And when the night falls over a quiet drag strip, when the wind passes through the empty stands, some swear they can still hear it. The faint echo of a woman's voice, strong and fearless, saying the words she lived by. Let's go fast. This was the story of Kye Kelley and Lizzy Musi, the rise, the heartbreak, and the legacy that will never fade. If you felt their story, hit like and subscribe to Street Outlaws Secrets, because the truth behind the legends of the racing world deserves to be remembered forever.